This chart shows global electric vehicle sales over the past decade. If you follow the data, you'll spot a massive anomaly right at the 2022 mark, where a relatively unknown Chinese company successfully outsells the world's most famous EV manufacturer. Today, that company is valued at over $120 billion, but they did not build this empire by starting out in a Silicon Valley garage. The reality is that BYD started in 1995 as a tiny 20-person startup in Shenzhen, manufacturing rechargeable batteries on a manual assembly line. Their founder, Wang Chuanfu, had a highly unconventional plan. He wanted to take a localized battery business and leverage it into a full-scale automotive empire. Building cars from scratch requires billions in capital and decades of engineering experience. Yet BYD bypassed these massive barriers to entry using a series of calculated strategic maneuvers. In the late 90s and early 2000s, BYD hit their first major revenue milestone. They dominated the emerging lithium-ion market, becoming the primary battery supplier for global mobile phone giants like Motorola and Nokia. By 2003, Wang Chuanfu initiated a massive strategic pivot. He took the cash generated from those mobile phone batteries and purchased a bankrupt state-owned car manufacturer called Qinchuan Auto. Wang Chuanfu prioritized the acquisition for a specific reason. It included a state-sanctioned license to manufacture automobiles, instantly clearing a bureaucratic hurdle that usually takes years to overcome. To get their first vehicles on the road, BYD used a process called reverse development, meaning their engineers physically dismantled existing Toyota and Honda chassis, figured out how they worked, and imitated the designs to build their own mass-market vehicle, the F3. The strategy proved so effective that in 2008, Warren Buffett purchased a 10% stake in the company. By combining a purchased regulatory shell with reverse-engineered chassis and their own battery expertise, BYD bypassed the traditional decades-long development cycle. Traditional auto manufacturing relies on a fragile web of thousands of external suppliers. BYD employed a radical alternative, producing almost every component in-house. Third parties often cause communication lags and manufacturing deviations. Moving operations backward eliminated those errors entirely. This deep internal control allowed them to practice frugal innovation, a strategy where BYD utilized their highly cost-effective in-house capabilities to design advanced tech features specifically tailored to the local Chinese consumer market. Owning the entire supply chain down to the raw materials is the structural advantage that lets BYD test new ideas rapidly and price vehicles aggressively below the market average. As they scaled, BYD realized cheap labor would eventually reach a bottleneck. They transitioned toward Industry 4.0, which is the automation of traditional manufacturing processes using modern smart technology. They integrated the Internet of Things, a network of connected devices sharing real-time data, to track every step of production. Pairing with artificial intelligence, these systems predict quality control failures and instantly correct the robotic assembly lines. This smart manufacturing ecosystem culminated in BYD's crowning achievement, a proprietary iron phosphate power source known as the Blade battery. This specific chemical architecture has severe metric advantages over standard lithium-ion. It has significantly lower production costs, zero risk of catching fire, and a guaranteed lifespan exceeding 600,000 kilometers. Because BYD holds an internal monopoly on these batteries, they can construct premium, feature-heavy EVs that consistently undercut their Western competitors on the showroom floor. While the smart manufacturing and AI-driven quality control ensure a competitive product, the true differentiator remains the proprietary battery technology housed inside the floorboards. This map shows BYD's current global market saturation. They are the dominant force across Asia, Europe, and South America. But there is a glaring void right over North America. The United States is the ultimate stress test for BYD's vertical integration model. If they entered the US today, their massive domestic production scale would give them an edge, offering unmatched quality relative to sticker price. But BYD lacks a localized US supply chain and possesses zero stateside R&D infrastructure to adapt to American standards. They also face severe external threats, specifically strict technological trade barriers and a massive mismatch in international safety and manufacturing standards. Total in-house control and heavily centralized Chinese production allowed BYD to conquer the rest of the world. Now, those exact same strategies are the primary liabilities they have to dismantle to survive in the American market.